We all know her, we all love her, and in today's video we are going to be reading her favorite books. Hello my sweet bookish friends. In today's video we are going to be reading the queen of booktube herself, Haley Pham's favorite books. Not to be dramatic, but I literally owe my entire career to Haley. Well, and the Lord, of course. But a few years ago I saw Haley post a video, and in that video she was reading, I think, A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, and I ended up picking up that book and absolutely fell in love with reading again, and here we are, like 3 years later. So, like many of you, probably because of her, I fell back in love with reading again, and that turned into starting my Bookstagram, which then led to starting my YouTube, which then led to me becoming a full-time content creator. So, Haley, if you stumble across this video, I wouldn't be where I am today if it weren't for you. And for the Lord blessing me, like, just so immensely. In today's video, we have 3 different books that we are going to be choosing from her favorites. Every year she does post kind of like a yearly wrap-up where she tells us kind of like her favorite books from the year, and then she also recently posted on her story like a list of her favorite books from last year. If you've been watching some of her recent videos, she has been absolutely loving Mari McFarlane's books. I really wanted to do, what is it called, Just Last Night, I think, but I have to be really careful when it comes to like emotional trauma in books because I'm so sensitive to that stuff, and sometimes like I literally feel like the feelings characters like they're my own, and it's just not good for my mental health. So I picked one that wasn't so emotionally devastating, I guess I would say, and that one is Mad About You. So this book is about a woman who calls off her engagement to the perfect man and moves in with a charming stranger who makes her question everything about her life, her past, and the secrets she's kept for far too long. This one, I believe it's like mainly like a contemporary fiction, but it's also a romance. Haley's literal review of this book is, if you like books, then why haven't you read this one? So here I am reading it. I have already started this book actually, and so far I'm absolutely loving it. I have really enjoyed her writing so far. I feel very connected to the characters already. I'm only about 14% of the way in, and I can just already tell that this author balances out humor and emotion very well, because so far I have been like giggling, but also I do feel like emotional depth from our characters. So I feel like I'm in for a ride with this one. It wasn't at my local library, and I'm on a book buying ban right now, so I only have the audiobook as of this moment. So I'm going to continue listening to this, probably work on a puzzle, do some like cozy hobbies and stuff, and then I'll update you guys a little bit later. Heyo! As you can see, I am currently in the middle of my nighttime skincare routine, but I needed to give a reading update before I forgot to do so. So I'm about 60% of the way through Mad About You. And before I started this book, a while ago, I remember going through Mari McFarlane's backlist, and I remember there being like a specific book that I was trying to avoid because it dealt with like toxic relationships and stuff. Well, turns out this is the book that I was trying to avoid, but it's okay. I'm actually glad I ended up reading it because so far, like I said, I'm having a good time with it. Not so much as like a silly haha good time, although I do still love the balance between like emotional depth and complexity and humor. But I also just feel like I relate so much to Harriet and just like some of the things that she's been through. I feel like because we are kind of getting Harriet like on the other side of this relationship, it's not as like triggering for me to read, so that's why it's like okay. I feel like this book is more like a reality TV show where you're kind of just like observing the characters and their lives, and there isn't like the strongest plot, but I'm like loving it at the same time. Like I'm actually having a good time with it, which usually I don't. So that just proves that Mari McFarlane's writing is very well done. Okay, sorry, I can't even take myself seriously with my eyes looking like this. I know that these books are mostly just fiction, and this one has like a slight bit of romance, but I still feel like for me being like 60% of the way through, I wish we got more of like Harriet and Cal's kind of budding relationship, because so far there's really only been like a handful of small moments where they've kind of connected, which I've still loved to see, but I would have loved to see more of them. If it wasn't for the wittiness of Mari McFarlane's writing, I don't think I would have enjoyed this book as much as I am. So far it's shaping up to be like a 4-star read. I am going to finish it tonight, which I'm very excited about. Right now, as I said, I am going through my nighttime skincare routine, which actually brings me to today's sponsor, which is Curology. I have been struggling with acne, dark marks, texture for for most of my adult life. I mean, as you can see, I'm like currently breaking out, except for this is looking so much better after literally only like a week and a half, 2 weeks of using Curology. I went to aesthetic school, but because I didn't graduate, thank you COVID, I have no idea what's wrong with my skin whenever I have issues. So that is why I turned to the professionals at Curology. After going to their website, all I had to do was take their skin quiz, which is basically just like a series of questions that helps them get to know your skin goals, your skin history, kind of like what you're currently struggling with. And by the end of that quiz, I got my simplified skincare routine with my gentle cleanser, my cream moisturizer, and the star product of the show, which is your RX personalized formula. And this one has acne busting ingredients that, like I said, I've literally seen results from already. And I have to say, it was so nice to get my prescription online, because going into dermatology appointments like in person gives me so much anxiety. So I'm so glad I got to skip that step. And you even get to be in contact with a skin specialist through Curology, which is really nice because they check in and see how your skin is doing, if they need to alter your routine at all. I am not like an 8-step skincare girly, so I really love how literally just these 3 products are all that I need. If you want to check out Curology, which I highly recommend, then I do have a special link down in my description, which will give you a special offer on your first Curology box. Thank you so much to Curology for sponsoring today's video. My skin thanks you. As for the rest of the night, I did go out to dinner and I got a salad, which I felt like was gonna make me sick, and guess what? It made me sick, as most foods do. So we are taking it easy tonight, and like I said, we are just going to relax and finish this book, and I'm excited because it's just gonna be a chill, cozy reading night. I just finished Mad About You. I'm kind of sad that it's over. I do think I'm gonna give this like a 4 or 4.25. I'm a little bit in between ratings at the moment. I think if this had like a better plot, I guess I probably would have given it a 5 stars, but I was robbed. I was robbed. I need an entire story just of Harriet and Cal, like a romance book based off Harriet and Cal, because we got crumbs, and I wanted the whole cake. So that was sad, but I really loved... First of all, I just really like this book. Second of all, I really love how this book brings awareness to toxic relationships and like emotionally, mentally like abusive relationships without it being like too heavy, you know? Because like I said before, generally I tend to like avoid these books because I can feel it. It's like very triggering for me. But with this one, I felt so, not like empowered, but like by the end of it, I felt like what Harriet had like gone through at the end, it almost like healed a part of myself, you know? It is quite insane how similar toxic and abusive and like manipulative and narcissistic partners and relationships, it's so crazy how similar they can be, because so many things that were described in this book, I was like, wow, that is actually very familiar, and that is something that I completely understand, which it's just so bizarre how parallel our story, like obviously different people, different situations, but very, very similar. So that was, I don't know. It's just so crazy. I'm also a girl's girl, and I fully support women kind of warning one another. I don't think it's a bad thing, and I think it's really important for people to be aware of what they're getting into, especially if it's like a repeat offender. And I just loved like the girl connections that were made over this toxic man. Literally by the end of this, I was just giggling, and I just felt like I was internally just like cheering on these women. I really like Mari McFarlane's writing. I think that she did a beautiful job with this book, and it definitely makes me want to read some of her other ones. But now that that is done, I do have to pick my next book, which I'm between 2 books. The first one being The Stolen Heir. I know that Haley, I think, read the second book to, I think it's The Prisoner's Throne. I know she read that, I believe, last year and really enjoyed it. So because I haven't read the first one yet, I'd be starting with the first one, which I believe she also really enjoyed. Or we have Reckless, which is the second book to the Powerless series. This is also one that I believe she read last year and really enjoyed. So I think I'm just going to read the first couple chapters of both books and just see which one kind of grabs my attention more. I feel like it's so dark in here. Hello? What is happening? Hello? Is that better? Anyway, so I ended up picking up The Stolen Heir. I actually did try to read this book last year, and then for some reason I just could not get into it at that time. But I think it was like whatever mood I was in, because I am now about 123 pages into this book now, and I'm having such a better time this go around. So I must have just been in like a weird funk or something last time I tried to pick this up. I missed Holly Black's world and her writing so much. I forgot how like creepy she makes fairies and like the fae out to be. I feel like a lot of the fae stuff that is coming out nowadays is all like ACOTAR vibes, where it's like really handsome, really beautiful people who are dangerous and have magic, but in Holly Black's world, it's like these creatures are quite literally terrifying. And I feel like she just writes them so much different than anyone else that I've read, and she just writes her world so lush and full of mystery in a way that I just love so much. I do have one similar feeling so far, and that's I feel like up until this point, like it's been pretty slow going. I mean, really not a lot has happened, but we are getting kind of some background on Surin and Oak, so that's been nice. I still don't fully understand what we're trying to do here, like what the goal is for this quest, but I don't know, maybe that's kind of the point at the same time. It's still so bizarre to see Oak as like a full-grown man now. I mean, given he's still like, what, 17? But still, just like seeing him as this like 10-year-old little boy in the Folk of the Air series, it's like a jump scare for him to be like this handsome, you know, kind of somewhat adult now. I do really like Surin's character, and I do really love seeing her point of view, although I kind of also wish that we got Oak's point of view. I've got about 220 pages left, so I am going to try and finish this today because I don't really have any plans for the rest of the day, so I really want to just binge read. So I have finished this Stolen Heir, and it was meh. It was kind of mid. That's okay though. So I think the last time I updated you guys, I was only like maybe 100 and something pages in, but I did read this kind of fast, so I just didn't really update you guys that much. So in this book, I feel like it was just kind of slow going. Like basically all that happens is that Oak has come back to fetch Ren to kind of help him on this quest. So basically throughout the whole book, we are kind of following them as they venture, I think, into Fairy or like into Elfheim, and I think into different courts. Honestly, I got a little bit lost as to like the location of where they were at all times, especially towards the end, but they have to like go into different courts and stuff. And I don't know, I just felt like the plot of this book wasn't quite as interesting as the Folk of the Air. I mean, given the Folk of the Air is a 3-book series and this one is a 2-book series, I just wasn't like that intrigued by what was going on. I still had a good time with it though. Like I still really love this world, and I did really like seeing some background on Ren and Oak. I feel like no matter what Holly Black writes, I will always at least just like have a good time while it lasts, and I feel like that's kind of how this book was. Although I will say the ending did set up a lot for the next book, so I am going to like continue the series, and I am very excited to read the next book. I think for this one I'm gonna give it like a 3.5 or a 3.75 because it wasn't bad by any means, but I think I just had a lot higher of expectations for it, and I was just looking for, I don't know, I felt like I was just left wanting more from the story. That could just be a me problem though. I think that Haley rated the second book like a 4 or above. I have to go back and see what she rated it, but I do remember when she did read the first one and the second one that she said that this was like one of her favorite fantasies. Like I said before, I feel like Holly Black just has a very special and unique way of describing like her world. Like I get transported into her writing every single time I read it, and that's something that I don't get extremely often, especially to this extent. Like I literally feel like I could close my eyes and imagine this entire world, and I absolutely love when that happens when I'm reading. If I don't feel like transported, then the story doesn't hit as hard. Like I said, I am very excited for the second book though, because I feel like this one was just kind of slow and set up a lot, but the next one I feel like is where a lot more of the action is going to be happening. So is it worth the read? I would say yes, for sure, but don't go into it with like super high expectations. Like I definitely loved the Folk of the Air series a lot more, but if you crave being back in that world and with those characters, then this is definitely worth the read. Okay, I think I lied a little bit. I know earlier I said that I was going to be reading 3 books in this video, but honestly, I'm still feeling very reading slumpy, and the other books that I had to choose to read for this video were both romances, and I'm just really not in the mood for a romance, and I feel like if I try to force myself to read one, A, I'm not gonna like it, and B, it's gonna make me even more slumpy, and I'm just trying to avoid that like at all costs. So I think I'm just going to be reading these two books in this video, so probably going to end the vlog here. This video was so fun to do though. I feel like I definitely read a little bit out of my comfort zone. Like Mad About You, I would not have really picked up if it wasn't for this video. The Stolen Heir I did have already, and like I said, I did try to pick it up before, but this video was the motivation that I needed to actually finish it. And now I'm really glad to read the next one, not only because Haley did rate it 5 stars, but also just because I feel like the ending of The Stolen Heir was pretty crazy, and I just need to know like what happens next. But as for today, yeah, that's the end of this video. I love you guys so much. I hope you enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed filming it. Let me know if you would like me to kind of make this into a series, like reading like your favorite booktubers' favorite books, and maybe comment down below whose favorite books I should read next. I hope you guys have a beautiful rest of your day, and I will see you in my next video. Mwah!